Hi, and welcome back to this week's podcast, Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants. I'm Jen, and I am a health educator and health coach, and I'm here with Dan.
Hey everybody, my name is Dan and I'm a master herbalist and health coach.
Yes, we met at the School of Natural Healing, where we both became master herbalists. Dan is the master of herbs, so he's definitely more into the herbs, and I'm more into the nutrition, I think.
Yes.
Yes, even though you do a lot of the nutrition as well. Anyway, today we are going to be talking about metabolic syndrome, which a lot of people in the words getting a little more familiar. But sometimes people are like, what does that mean? So I thought that would be a great topic for us to talk about. It's considered the silent epidemic because most people don't even know that they have something going on in their metabolic system for metabolic health. So recent statistics came out that 92% of Americans are metabolically unwell, which is really scary news. 92%, that means only 8% of Americans are metabolically well. And so that would be why we have so many chronic health conditions.
That's incredible. Those statistics are very daunting, but there's something we can do about it.
Right, right. Yes. So maybe we should talk a little bit about why people, well, what is involved in metabolic syndrome. Do you
Okay.
want to start or you want me to start?
Yeah, I'll start. It's not a single condition. When they say you have metabolic syndrome, they're looking at a cluster of things like high blood pressure. Your blood sugar is not exactly, it may be a little too high. It's not diabetic level yet, but it's still high. You have excess body fat, especially around the waist, and your cholesterol and your triglyceride levels are usually high. And these things can increase your risk of having a heart attack or a stroke or developing type 2 diabetes. So it's a whole cluster of things.
Yeah, and fatty liver disease, which is also
Ah,
another one that is really growing. Like I think I saw somewhere 25% of Americans have fatty liver disease, and that's another one where you can have no symptoms at all, not know at all that your liver is sluggish and struggling and stuff like that. And so, like Dan said, it's not this is all something we can do to correct. It's completely due to lifestyle habits. A lot of times people will say, well, my parents had diabetes, or my parents had liver disease, or my parents had blah, blah, blah. It's all because you're living the same lifestyle and eating the same foods that your parents ate, your family members ate. And so there are things that we can do to help with that.
yeah, a lot of people, they're afraid that they have, bad health genes. And people do have, genes that may increase their risk of developing heart disease or metabolic syndrome, but you don't have to be a slave to your genes. It doesn't have to be your fate. Science is showing that if you change your lifestyle, you can express your genes in a different way. Instead of genes for poor health, you can actually train your body to start expressing genes for good health. So that is very empowering. And so, a major lifestyle factors for developing metabolic syndrome is simply sedentary lifestyle and a poor diet. So that's a big
Right.
thing now.
Yeah. So many people eat refined sugars and processed foods, and they don't realize eating like, well, I mean, we all know fried foods are bad, potato chips are bad, but what is it about those foods that are bad? And then when we say like, let's say like breads and pastas and stuff like that, and people say, well, I'm eating gluten free. Well, gluten free doesn't necessarily mean healthy. Whole foods would be healthy if you're eating like zoodles, sweet potato noodles, breads made out of nuts and seeds. But if you're eating, instead of eating like whole wheat bread, you're eating bread made with rice flour and potato flour and tapioca flour. Those are highly, highly, highly refined foods. And while they are not gluten, if you have gluten issues, those are still, they're treated as sugar in the body. And so that is one of the key players. That and Fructose, not the fructose that's found in fruit, but the fructose found in your sweetened beverages, and other sweet treats, anything that has added sugars, stuff like that. And so a lot of people, they'll say, well, I only drink one sweet tea a day, or I only have one soda a day. And it could be a regular, like we have Coke. I'm here in Atlanta, Coke or Diet Coke. They're both highly inflammatory, and those can lead to insulin resistance. And we see children, toddlers walking around with the Coke bottle in their hand. And all that is feeding your child liver disease at a very, very early age. And because there are no symptoms, we don't know that it's causing any damage until they get much older. All of our I'll say all of them, most, the majority of illnesses have been growing for years, for 20 something years before you have symptoms, before you realize you're sick. And so it's very, very important to make diet and lifestyle changes before you have symptoms, because it can be that much harder to undo it. If it took you 20 years to get here, it might take you 20 years to get out of here. And so that's something to really consider. So let's talk about what are some key things that we should do to help with metabolic syndrome. So when we talk about metabolic syndrome, we're talking about prediabetes, insulin resistance, fatty liver disease, cardiovascular disease. All of those, we're grouping them into one. And so there are simple things that we can do that can help with all of those things. So Dan, tell us some things that we should start with to help with any of these.
Well, of course, the first thing, if you're sedentary, I mean, you have to start an exercise routine. And a lot of people think that exercise is, you don't have to do it. It's just one of those things that other people do. Actually, if you want to be healthy, you have to do it. You don't have to kill yourself like me and Jennifer always talk about, but you need to do something every day. Walking is a really good place to start.
Yes, especially if you have a stressful lifestyle.
Oh,
Walking is better than like running. A lot of people think they need to start running or doing CrossFit or start training for something. And training for something can be a good way to start making it a habit, but don't go from sedentary lifestyle to doing an Ironman.
no, you'll hurt yourself doing that.
Yes, yes. And when you look at the recommended guidelines, it's been a while since I've looked at them, but it was like 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That is to maintain current health.
Yeah.
And so that's not enough. And so if you're not doing anything at all, that's a good place to start. Do 30 minutes 3 days a week. That could be your start. And then increase, every week, try to increase, maybe adding another day, maybe adding 5 more minutes. But you want to make sure that you're meeting at least 30 minutes, 5 days a week and more to improve your health.
Yeah, I think the latest research is showing that 300 minutes a week seems to be the sweet spot where you get all of the benefits exercise and none of the negatives. And they show that if you go over that, you don't really get any more benefits. So 300 minutes, and we're talking cardio exercise. But then I always tell people too that they need to strengthen their muscles. I mean, you can do calisthenics, you could do rubber bands, you could do free weights. But that's really important too, because muscle, if you build more muscle mass, it helps to regulate your blood sugar levels. It helps to, it actually strengthens your heart and your bones. It keeps you independent in your older age, because a lot of people in the nursing home, they're not really sick. They're just so weak they cannot function anymore. And so they've lost all their muscle mass, because after age 30, we start to lose our muscle mass every year. I think by age 70, you've lost about 40% of your muscle mass if you don't do anything to maintain it. The good news is you can maintain your muscle mass and you can build it. I don't care how old you are. You can be 60, 70, 80. You can still build muscle even at those ages.
Yes. My grandma, she's 101.
Wow.
And she has little hand weights by her recliner. You can't see them. I think she might stick them under her recliner. But she said when she's watching TV, they're only like 2 pounds, but she'll do, some overhead presses and things like
Wow.
that. She's 101,
That,
but it's something that she's just done for her whole life. She knew that you need to work on your muscles. And not only does it help with your muscle mass, your bones, like you said, um, we want to make sure that we're doing on both sides. And especially the older you get, you want to make sure you're working on things like balance exercises. So many people, like you may hear, you hear one of the worst things for someone elderly is a fall. They fall, they break their hip, and then they die. And so it's just, we want to make sure we're working on balancing activities. We want to make sure we're working on muscle mass and strength training as well. And so I think we're kind of diverging away from metabolic syndrome, but it's just that important for something that we do. So what is something else that it would be great to incorporate to help with all of this medical syndrome, this blanket of illnesses?
Well, we may sound like a broken record, but a whole foods plant-based diet, and we don't just say this because I mean, that's what it's not our opinion, it's fact. There's just lots of science behind this whole foods plant-based diet, full of fiber and phytonutrients and vitamins and minerals. So,
Yes, and for me, greens 3 times a day.
oh yeah.
Or greens at every meal. If you only eat 2 meals, making sure you have greens at both meals, especially to protect your bones, to provide, I mean, your greens have so many minerals. Some people will say, well, what are your greens? I'm not just talking about a lettuce salad. I'm talking, a salad is great, but you want to make sure you have, if you do have a salad, make sure it's a variety of different greens. Having, some steamed cabbage, having some steamed collard greens or having some steamed broccoli. Broccoli is still considered a leafy green. Any of those cruciferous vegetables, Brussels sprouts, even asparagus. These things are so high in minerals. They help with your blood pressure. They help with your insulin. They can help with insulin resistance. They're very blood sugar modulating. They just help maintain your blood sugar. They provide all the minerals and the vitamins that are needed for you to absorb all of your nutrients. And they can just help with so many different things, provide the nutrients needed for your liver to help process everything as well. You want to break down anything that's going on in your body. Everything we eat breaks down and creates toxins, which sounds crazy, right? But we create these byproducts, and then our liver processes them, and then they come out through urine or feces or your breath, through your lungs, and those things. So we want to make sure that everything's working appropriately to get everything out. And if your greens are bitter, that helps to release bile from the gallbladder and the liver to help break down your fats, and then you get better absorption of your foods, the nutrients found in your foods too. And so that's something else we can talk about another time. But I really think that eating whole food plant-based, which is what we're always talking about, and then eating greens at every meal. And another thing is eating omega 3s. I've had a lot of clients recently where I would talk about omega 3s, and clients don't even know what those are. Do you want to talk about omega 3s?
Plant-based sources of omega-3s.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Or
omega-3 fats, our body cannot make them. We have to, get them through diet. So leafy greens contain a small amount of omega-3s, like Jeffrey's talking about. But for us as plant-based eaters, if we want to get a higher amount in our diet, we're going to look at our flax seeds, and we're going to look at the hemp hearts and chia seeds. That's where we get most, and walnuts have a little bit, but these fats are crucial for heart health, brain health, joint health. I saw a study on flax seeds, and it was amazing the benefits. People who eat flax seeds, their risk of heart attacks are drastically lower. It increases it can decrease your cholesterol. I could go all down with flax seeds, but I don't want to get off topic. But
yes.
Jennifer knows a lot more probably about the benefits of omega-3s. So
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know if I know more, but when it comes to metabolic syndrome, especially insulin resistance, well, all of metabolic syndrome, all the different conditions, your chia seeds and your flax seeds, if you've ever used them, if you combine liquid to ground chia seeds, well, not even ground chia seeds, regular chia seeds or flax seeds, they get mucilaginous. They get kind of like a slime. They're great egg substitute for anything that you would be using to make, I don't know, you want to make a nut-based mug cake. You can make those healthy even. But anyway, off point. That gel is not only soothing and coating to the whole mucosal system, providing all these omega-3s that are anti-inflammatory, so to help with inflammation. They also help us feel full, so we feel fuller. It's very high of fiber, and it's also a type of fiber that feeds your microbiome. It feeds the healthy microbes in your gut, which helps you also absorb more of your nutrients and create the vitamins that you know you create vitamins in your intestines. You know, vitamin D and vitamin K and vitamin B12. It just helps them to transform so that they get carried to the liver and everything gets created, and then you can use it the way you need to use it. But we need those things in our intestines. So chia seeds and flax seeds are a fabulous source. You can also use chlorella or spirulina. You can make the most gorgeous looking smoothie bowls with like a blue spirulina, and it just looks like something fake. But it can be a really nutritious way, especially for kids. You know, kids love these colorful foods, and you don't want like, I know someone used to give my kids cupcakes that were blue, and they were definitely not a healthy blue cupcake. And the kids love them, but they that's not healthy. But you can use some blue spirulina and something, and you get this beautiful color. I'm getting off point again. They chia seeds and also have substances in there that help you with insulin resistance. They are very high in magnesium. Magnesium is necessary to get into the cells, to get glucose into the cells, and so it helps with that transformation process. Magnesium is essential for so many your heart contractions and all that, and chia seeds are very high in magnesium. And because they do help you feel full, that can help with weight management, which is also important for metabolic syndrome. And so adding things like chia seeds and flax seeds. Now, another thing that a lot of people don't eat is something like coconut. And we hear different things in the keto world, MCT oil and coconut. That's huge. In some of the plant-based world and cardiac world, they say don't eat coconut because it's high in saturated fat, which is true, but it also contains lauric acid. It's the best source of lauric acid. And lauric acid can also help restore insulin receptors. And it can also help with transforming those omega-3s into long chain omega-3s. I don't want to get too scientific, but that helps ease inflammation. So for anyone who is highly inflamed, we want to get the right balance of omega-3s, and we want those long chain fatty acids. So someone will say, but I eat a lot of almonds and I eat pumpkin seeds and I eat sesame seeds and I eat sunflower seeds and I eat pecans, and those are all delicious and they're healthy fats, and we do need those types of fats. But if all we have are those fats and we're eating cooked oils, you know, we're cooking our food in vegetable oils and things like that, we're getting way too many of these kinds of fats when we need more of the omega-3s. Centuries ago, people ate more of a 1-to-1 ratio of omega-6s to omega-3s, and now we're getting to more like a 25-to-1 ratio, which can actually create inflammation in the body. So you can be eating these foods that are really healthy and nutritious, but we want to cut down on those and increase these omega-3s and using chia, flax, hemp, walnuts, chlorella, spirulina. So just Google those, you know, Google recipes using these ingredients and find more ways to incorporate them. I have a lot of recipes using these ingredients on my YouTube at Holistic Jen. You can find me on there, but I do have recipes there. Also, if you click in the bio, I have a link to some recipe guides in there too. And so my own little plug. That was a nice little way to ease into my own little plug there. So what are some other things that we can do to help with metabolic syndrome?
Well, I like to talk about herbs.
Yes.
So some good herbs that can help, manage your blood sugar. A good one is, and I've heard a lot about it, is cinnamon. And I've read studies where cinnamon indeed can help us. But before I go any farther, we have to make sure that you understand that you have to change your diet as well, and use your herbs along with a healthy diet. We can't use a herb and go eat at McDonald's every day and expect it to help us in a meaningful way. We want to make sure the diet's right. But cinnamon is a good one for your blood sugar. Fenugreek,
I love fenugreek.
yeah, do you put it on your salads and your recipes sometimes?
I actually have it in a grinder, and I'll just grind
Oh,
some with milk thistle and black cumin seed, which is another one we should talk about.
oh wow.
But I also will make a fenugreek tea or grind it and put it in things. It tastes and smells a lot like maple syrup. without adding sugar. And so it's I really do like fenugreek.
Wow, that sounds good.
Yes.
Another good one for blood sugar is actually garlic.
Yes.
And we like to put that goes really good in salads and things. I mean,
And
if you like,
great for all of the metabolic syndromes.
yeah, 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 cholesterol, it helps lower your cholesterol. It can even help lower your blood pressure, triglycerides. Garlic, I'm telling you, garlic is for me. I think that it's in the top of my herb list. Garlic's up there with cayenne pepper. I mean, it's so amazing.
I was going to say
Um,
that too. If I could only have two things, garlic and cayenne, and then number three would be oregano. And I'm talking about culinary herbs. Well, I mean, not just culinary herbs, but these are things that are in everybody's kitchen, right?
oh
And
yeah,
so we can definitely use these things. And so garlic, it helps with insulin resistance. It helps with the heart. It also helps with the liver. It contains um, allanase, which helps your liver to detoxify. Contains sulfur, and so that is necessary for the sulfation pathways in your liver as well. And so, yes, I love that you said that, because I didn't even think about that. And then another one is berberine, which we talked about on our previous podcast. Berberine is another one that is unfortunately all over the news and not in a good way. So I love that you said you can't eat your McDonald's and take your berberine, because so many clients will say, "What herb should I take for this?" And they're not willing to make the changes.
yeah.
They just want to add the herb, and you can't just add supplements. You're wasting your money if you're not making the changes.
Well, that was created by the medical system, the pill for every ill, and then some people realize the pills give them side effects, so they want to take a herb, they'll do the same thing. And anyway, I just want to add that another good herb while I'm talking about it for your blood sugars, Indian gooseberry. There,
Oh, yes, which is
there's
also
oh yeah,
what's it go by? Isn't that
huh?
amla?
And amla, yeah, amla.
Yes. Yeah, so you may know it as amla.
There's a lot of science behind it. It is impressive. I've seen studies where it lowered people's blood sugar by over 50 points. So,
Wow, I didn't know that. I know
oh
it's like
yeah.
one of the most one of the highest in antioxidants,
Hmm.
which is also, I mean, helps with inflammation, it helps with repairing damage, it would help with your liver, it would help with your heart, it would help with insulin as well. And so yes, yes, that's a great one. And I used to buy it as a powder, and I would add it
Yeah.
to like smoothies and
Yeah, that's
things
what they
like
were
that.
using in the studies. They were using it in the powder form. They were using like half a teaspoon a day, and they were getting awesome results. So I would tell people, while a lot of people don't want to change immediately their diet, but I say, okay, as you slowly change your diet, you can start to add some of these herbs to start helping you. And as your
Yes.
diet gets cleaner and cleaner, these herbs can work better and better. And before you know it, you'll go back to the doctor and your numbers looking better.
I love that you said that. Yes. And another herb I want to mention is black cumin seed.
Oh,
And black cumin seed is another one that's very high in antioxidants and is wonderful for helping blood sugar and insulin resistance as well. That's one that I like to include daily. It's also nativa. Is it nativa sativa? That doesn't sound right. Nagella sativa. Nagella sativa. That's another one that I really like. I love cumin. This doesn't really taste like that. It tastes more like black pepper, and it looks like black pepper on your food. But that is another one that I really like a lot.
yeah, I've heard of the black seed. It says the cure for everything but death. I've seen it
Yes,
has
yes.
a
Yeah,
lot
it
of
may not say black cumin seed, but black seed is black cumin seed.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
well, I
that's go
I
ahead.
think that unless you have something else to add, I think that's a pretty good summation of metabolic syndrome and different things that you can do. So you can see it is really just lifestyle based. Yeah.
Oh
So like you said, I think I've heard Dr. Michael Clapper say this a lot. Genes load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. And so you talked about that in the beginning, and that may be somebody else's quote. I just hear in my head, I always hear Dr. Michael Clapper saying, genes load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. And so that's metabolic syndrome in a nutshell right there. A lot of us have genetic tendencies for these different things: liver, insulin, cardiac, all those different conditions. But really, it comes down to Are you exercising? We didn't talk about stress and sleep. Those are major key factors, and we're going to talk about that on another episode. We've talked about it on some episodes, but we have another episode coming up on stress and anxiety, and that is huge when it comes to all of these as well: the liver, the kidneys, the heart, insulin, diabetes, all of those. So we'll talk about those too. But all of these, you want to sleep, you want to exercise, you want to eat healthy, and that can sound overwhelming when we start listing all of these things out. So if you can just pick one thing that you can do this week, to focus on, and just focus on one thing for the next week. And then next week, you say, great, I mastered that. What can I add this week to, maybe I'm going to add a supplement next week. I add exercise this week. I'm going to just start walking 3 days a week. Next week, go, okay, now I'm going to walk 4 days this week, and I'm going to start adding some of these herbs. And then the next week, you see, just go like that. Anyway, do you have anything you would like to add?
I would just say that if you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling hopeless, you're not hopeless. You start to implement some of these things we're talking about. You can take control not only of your health, but you'll start to see this is going to start to branch out in your life overall. You'll think, well, I'm healing myself of metabolic syndrome. So what else can I do? I want to do maybe a career change. Maybe I want to go back to school. You'll see. You'll start to branch out, and you'll be a happier and healthier person. So
Yes. And if you need help with any of these things, we both work with clients one-on-one and in group programs as well. You can click on our bios on the bio page and
yeah.
connect with us. We would love to talk with you. We also would love for you to subscribe to our channel, share it with your friends, and please comment. We like positive and negative comments. We want to make sure that everything we share is right for you. So until next time, take these positive steps towards better health. Stay well naturally.